Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, good morning, or good evening, depending on what time zone you're in. Welcome to TechTalks Live Learning. My name is Taylor. I'm with JTB Business Travel and very glad to be hosting this live learning session. Thank you so much for joining. We have a special guest with us from SAP Concur presenting today, so we're looking forward to that. And as a reminder, we will be hosting these TechTalks live learning sessions through the month of June. So please continue to join us for these insider looks that our technology partners and industry leaders are offering. You don't want to miss them. Now, in our previous Tech Talks, we made a comment regarding the current situation surrounding COVID-19. We just want to say that we continue to hope you and your teams are all staying safe, healthy, and positive. And please always keep in mind that we're here to support you in practical ways during these unique circumstances. So we hope that you can use these sessions just to unplug and focus on what opportunities are on the other side of the situation for all of us. So to keep things moving, I just wanted to offer some housekeeping tips. This session is in listen-only mode. Now that means you'll be able to hear us, but we won't be able to hear you. And this will help keep background noise levels down and make this Tech Talks experience an enjoyable one for all of you. Now that being said, if you have any questions during today's session, please send those to us using the questions box. If you haven't located where that is, you can find that tool on your GoToWebinar control panel, and it's a really great feature. So please use it for sending us any questions that you have today during the session. Also, during today's session, there will be polls that we will activate, and you'll receive the prompt on your screen when we do that. Now, when you see that come up, please just respond to the poll by selecting your answer within the box. The poll box that you'll see appear on your screen. And another note, this Tech Talk session will be recorded, so if needed, you can request a copy of the recording from us by replying to the email that you'll receive at the end of this session or sending us an email at businesstravel@jtbusa.com. Now to get right into things, here's what you have to look forward to for this session. We'll have two speakers today, Ash Shribha of JTB Business Travel and Christine Malcolm of SAP Concur. They will be speaking to us all about the service powered by SAP Concur. And again, please don't hesitate when it comes to asking questions. Send those in to us in preparation of our question and answer session, which will be taking place at the end of the presentation today. So at this point, I'm pleased to turn things over to Ash, my boss and the general manager here at JTB Business Travel. Ash will go ahead and get things going for us. Ash, it's all yours.
Great. Thank you very much, Taylor. Appreciate it. And good morning and good afternoon and good evening to everybody out there who is on the call today. We really thank you for being part of Tech Talks and appreciate you being on the call. We think that we have a wonderful topic to talk about, which is around travel and expense management. So I'm very excited that Christine from SAP Concur is joining us today and will be providing us with a lot of knowledge and insight around how to make expense management simpler, easier, and quicker for each and every one of you in your organizations. So with that, Christine, I'll turn it over to you, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Ash. Thanks for having me. And good afternoon, good morning, and good evening, everyone. My name is Christine Malcolm. I am part of our webinar and insight series team here at SAP Concur, where in the past I was traveling all over the US talking to businesses about why their best-in-class organizations are automating their AP process and the benefits they've gained with a partnership with SAP Concur. Prior to this role, I had the privilege of working with mid-size and enterprise-level organizations on their spend management and customer experience goals. I'm so glad to be joining you all today. Now, when I'm talking to businesses and leaders, there's common goals that they're looking to achieve. So things like strategic growth, having timely and accurate data, and looking inward to streamline current processes are just to name a few. But now businesses have slightly shifted their focus to reflect the current climate. So that's also changed the current challenges that they're facing. So things like keeping employees healthy and safe is really a top of mind while they're either working from home or if they still have to go into the office to process paperwork, things like invoices or cutting checks. But they're making sure that they have the appropriate equipment to work effectively. So whether that's a laptop, it could be a headset, or in some cases, companies are actually sending masks to their employees for when they can return to the office. And there's a lot of economic uncertainty as to how long this pandemic will last and the stress it's putting on businesses around the world. Companies are really keeping a close eye on their books, ensuring that they have enough cash flow to really weather the storm. In recent conversations with clients, we're also seeing more and more companies are implementing hiring freezes to protect their existing workforce. So this means that employees are having to do more with less, and that's potentially exposing those inefficient processes that could be in place today. So as we move through the presentation, we're going to talk about how we can really help you with these challenges and whether we're partnering with you now or whether that's in the near future. And before we dive in, I always like to call out what our parent company, SAP, is doing before as we're going through this pandemic right now and how we can really help you weather this storm. So on the SAP Concur side, we're offering flexible contract terms, and TripIt Pro is 6 months free. On the SAP Qualtrics side, we're offering our free remote work pulse survey. And that's really ensuring that your employees are getting everything they need while they're in their new work from home environment. On the procurement side of the house, SAP Ariba Discovery has opened up the supply chain lines, allowing it to be a lot easier for buyers and suppliers to connect to get their goods. In fact, we had one of our clients was able to secure 500 hospital beds from an alternative vendor in just under 30 minutes. So why I think it's important to call this out is it really speaks to the impact that technology is having on a situation like COVID-19, and it hopefully gives you a glimpse into what who we are as a company and what a partnership would look like.
Great, thank you, Christine. And I think that we'd like to open up a poll here because I think this is a good time to ask this question. So in front of you all is a poll, and we'd like you to take a couple of seconds here just to answer it. What we're trying to gather is based on COVID-19, is how is your company looking to change how you process expense reports? So we'll give you a couple of minutes just to answer this question. Obviously with the changes in the work styles, as Christine had mentioned earlier, in how employees are now at home or working from home more than they were in the office, we believe that there might be a shift in how companies are approaching something as simple expense reports. So we'd like to get your feedback on that. So go ahead and fill this out real quick, and we'll look at the results here in just a second, and we will move forward with that. So give you all a second here to get that. Wow. Okay. So this is a pretty significant result here where all of you are looking for ways to simplify it or at least automate it. So I think you're in the right session today, and you are in the right place. So Christine, I think we need to show them how we can make things easier.
Absolutely, yeah. So for those of you who maybe aren't as familiar with SAP Concur, or if you've just joined your organization, we're a cloud-based software solution with an overarching goal of helping you manage any outgoing spend you have as a business. So when we look at a typical spending breakdown, 10% is going to T&E, 35% is for our payroll and benefits, and then 55% is really everything else. So think of those recurring bills, rent, utilities, and those vendor invoices coming in on a monthly basis. Now, you've likely already automated your payroll and benefits with a solution from SAP SuccessFactors, ADP, or even Paychex. So where SAP Concur comes in is that remaining 65% of your spend that you already have. Now, just a little bit more about who we are as a company. So we have been in business for 27 years and have been the industry leader that entire time. 6 years ago, we were acquired by SAP, and it really was because of our expertise in the spend management space. Now, we are a global organization with over 50,000 clients, and over half of those are small to mid-sized businesses. So it's really not uncommon that we would subscribe single users all the way up through enterprise level organizations. So you're never going to have to worry about ever outgrowing our solution. When it comes to our mobile capabilities, always like to highlight this here, that we have the highest rated mobile app in the marketplace with a 4.7 rating and over 600,000 reviews. Why talk about this is really from a change management perspective. So Concur is going to look and feel like those consumer applications that your employees are likely using today. So the transition should be a pretty seamless experience. And I'll show you how to use the Concur mobile app today. Now, our platform is composed of our 3 core solutions. So we have our AP invoicing solution, our corporate travel booking tool, and our expense reporting solution. And these are all housed under one roof. Now, this is valuable for you because you're not having to manage multiple sites, logins, or softwares. But most importantly, we're able to aggregate all of your spend onto one report, giving you a holistic view of your business from a spend perspective. So for today, we're going to be focused on SAP Concur Expense.
Great. And before we do that, we have another poll, Christine, that would like the audience to answer. And that is, how long does it typically take you to complete an expense report? So we have 3 simple answers: too long, because you're filling out Excel sheets and stapling receipts. I remember the days when I did this. It was horrible. I still have nightmares about it. And the second option is not long, but you're looking for ways to improve. So maybe you have a pretty efficient process built in, but you're kind of thinking, hey, I want to make things better. So that's a great one. And then the last one is at less than 10 minutes because you're using Concur Expense. And you can kind of ignore the last comment, but let's say you were, and that's why it's using Concur Expense. So we'll give you a couple of seconds here to fill that out, and we'll look at results in just a second here. Okay, let's look at the poll results. Okay, so I think we have everybody on the call filling out Excel sheets, and I think that's definitely a reason why you should be looking at Concur Expense as a solution. So let's go ahead and show them how quick it is, Christine.
Yeah, absolutely. I know I myself fell into that first category before working for SAP Concur. So
remember those crazy days? Makes me crazy to think about them.
Yeah, I used to have to mail in my my expense report to my global headquarters up in New York City, and it was quite a headache. So with Concur Expense, we just want to make it really simple and easy for your employees to create and submit their expense reports. All while making sure that they're staying within company compliance and giving you that visibility into your employee related spend. As I mentioned, I myself, I was a road warrior before this pandemic happened. So I incurred a lot of expenses on a monthly basis. And at the end of the month, it took me about like 6 or 7 minutes to do my expense report. So there's a number of ways that you can get your expenses, that we can capture this information in Concur. And the first one that we're going to do is with our receipt capture, or what we call Expenseit. And this is using your mobile device and using our Concur mobile app to capture your receipts. So I'm going to switch over to my mobile device here. And so this is our Concur mobile app. And really the functionality lies within this bottom blue bar. Try saying that 5 times fast with Expenseit and the camera. So I just open up the camera icon. I have my receipt here, snap a photo. And then what it's going to do is run it through OCR, or optical character recognition technology. Now, OCR is really just designed to scrape off all the important information from a receipt or a document and then populate that into the appropriate fields within a software. So this takes typically less than a minute to analyze the receipt, and it looks like our receipt is ready for us. And so I didn't have to type in any of this information. It brought up the correct amount, the expense type, those are coming from your general ledger, the date, the vendor, and also the location. So from here, I'd simply hit move to report. I have an expense report already created, and now it's already on my expense report. So it's very simple and easy to be capturing those receipts And then I can go ahead and move through my expense report. So I have some business meals, I have my hotel, you're seeing those warning icons, and I'm going to show you a little bit more about that on our web interface in just a minute. So another way for those of you who are using Concur Travel to get your receipts into Concur Expense is using what we call our eReceipt program. So we have 100% of airlines and 100% of car rentals, including direct connections with Uber and Lyft. So, and then when it comes to hotels, we have 95% of hotels participating. So basically, when you book your travel within Concur, those receipts are going to flow directly into Concur Expense. Now, where end users like myself and like Ash really get excited about using Concur is because it's going to itemize our receipt for us. So things like hotel folios, which can be pretty difficult to, or not difficult, but more so time consuming to itemize all this information. We're going to do that for you. And then from the back end perspective, we're going to build in your company's policy. So if you're getting those charges like minibar charges or in-room entertainment, things that your company doesn't reimburse for, we'll flag those for you. And then you can even require your employees to remove those charges before they go ahead and submit their expense report. So there's a number of different audit rules you can create. You can require comments for different expense types like business meals, or if you have mileage for a certain amount, you can flag for duplicate expenses. You can require attendee information. Really, I kind of like to say that the possibilities are almost endless when it comes to ensuring that your employees are really staying within your company compliance. And I would say this now, so more than ever, with everyone working from home, maybe there's different things that they need to be expensing. So making sure that they are staying within your company's guidelines if you've already updated your company policy. So looking at our expense report from the web interface. So really best practice is to work top down when it comes to exceptions. Now, when I'm talking about exceptions, it's those warning icons that you're seeing on the left side of the screen, that red exclamation point warning icon. I like to call this the visual guilt when I'm talking about expense reporting. So let us be the bad guy and tell your employees that they are out of compliance. So it looks like I am getting this warning icon on my business meal, and this is because I haven't filled in the business purpose. Now, as I said, you can create various audit rules, have information that's required. So I'm getting this flag because, as I said, I didn't fill out business purpose. And oftentimes where bottlenecks are occurring when I'm talking to folks in the back office is because people simply just don't know what they need to fill out. So we can make those fields required. Now, I do want to draw your attention to the payment type, and this is another way that we can capture your expenses. And this is if you're using a corporate credit card. So we would set up a direct connection to that feed so that every time your employees are making a purchase, then that expense would fall into their expense report. So, and a lot of times, and we work with hundreds of corporate credit card programs, and we would default this to corporate credit card as the payment type. But a lot of times companies are requiring their employees to submit two different types of expense reports. One for out-of-pocket expenses, like that HDMI cord that I just took a picture of, and then a separate one for those corporate card expenses. But we differentiate based upon the payment type. So we're able to bring both of these expenses onto one report. And then I'll show you the reporting on the back end to help you split it out between the two. We can start to build encoding here for you. So if you have expenses that are billable or non-billable, or if you want your employees to start to code these expenses to different projects, departments, phases, we can make that very quick and easy here. This is your general ledger. So all of these selections that they would be making would be coming directly from your general ledger. But it's important to note, if you're seeing something that is not relevant to your company on the screen here, don't worry. It's simply just going to go away. We want this to be a very clean and simple experience for your end users. Very similar if you need to split out this expense to multiple departments. I'd simply come in and click allocate. And then again, this is your general ledger. So these are all the codes coming from your general ledger. Select them from a drop-down menu, and then I've effectively split this out between those two departments. If your company is capturing attendee information, or if you would like to be doing this, we make it very easy for you here. Just add in your attendee. That can be, usually it's first and last name and company is what most of our clients are capturing, but you can require any number of fields that you would like your employees to fill out. If you have a VIP client that you take out pretty often, you can save them to your favorites, and that way you don't have to enter the information every single time. Now we're going to automatically split out the expense evenly amongst the attendees, but you're certainly able to change those totals to reflect what that person actually ordered if your company likes to get very granular with that information. And it's important to note here that we localize to 15 different languages. So I know we have a global audience today. So if your employees are over in Europe, if they're, so they'll see the euro. If they're over in the UK, they'll see the pound, they'll see the yen. So it's important to note because I know we have a global audience today. And that brings me to our, so part of our auditing services is with our translation. So we have what's called SAP Concur Detect, and Detect will translate 41 major languages. And as I said, we're a global organization. We work with over 50,000 clients around the world, and we know that people are traveling. We work with a lot of nonprofit organizations, and I certainly cannot read Japanese, although it definitely is on my bucket list. So I wouldn't know that that there was a mojito and a wine charge, but Detect has translated the receipt for us. And if those alcohol type of expenses fall outside of our company policy, then those would be flagged so that we're not reimbursing our employees for those types of expenses. Okay, so another way that we can capture your expenses is with email. So for me, I get my Verizon bill emailed to me every single month, and I simply just forward that receipt to receipts@concur.com. It then lands in what I call my virtual wallet. So all of these expenses on the right side of the screen. And then I can simply just select those expenses I want to add and then drag and drop them into my expense report. The last thing that I will cover here very quickly is personal car mileage. So understanding that not a lot of us are traveling these days, but when we do start to normalize and go back to our travel, you may want to be capturing personal car mileage. So how we can help you with this is with first our Concur mobile app. So this is what we call Concur Drive. And this is using your phone's, your smartphone GPS to track your trips. And then we capture that here within our mobile app. So it's very simple. Before you start your trip, you hit start. And then once you finish your trip, you hit stop. And then you'll see on the right side of your screen, it has the map showing the trip that you took. So if you have employees maybe doing donut holes in the parking lot, you will see those donut holes there. And then you can also deduct any personal commute distance. So a lot of times companies are not reimbursing their employees from when they drive from home to the office. You can deduct that here all within the mobile app. But if your employees are like me and they forget to turn on Concur Drive, happened quite a bit when I was going to the airport at 6 o'clock in the morning, you can use the mileage calculator. So we have a direct integration with Google Maps where you simply just plug in your start and stop locations, and then we'll calculate the mileage reimbursement for you. And this is also where you can deduct that personal commute as well. All right, so it looks like all of our visual guilt is gone. Our expense report is clean. So I can go ahead and submit this over to my manager for approval. And when it comes to approvals, there's a lot of customization available. So when we split out that expense between two departments, each of those department managers would receive our expense report for approval. So if you have very simple workflows, we can certainly accommodate those, as well as any robust workflows you may have within your current environment today. But it's important to note that as soon as the expense or the liability hits your employee's Concur profile, you're going to be able to report on it. And that really brings me to our processor dashboard, or what we call our end goal. So you can see from this centralized view where all of your expenses are, if they've been approved, if they're sitting on somebody's virtual desk, if the expense report has not been approved. You can view this information via keyword search, or you can also come in and create custom queries. A lot of times I'm talking with clients and they like to view reports with a specific expense type. So you can view this information right with a click of a button. For those executives who are joining us on the webinar today, we have our executive overview dashboard. Now, understanding that there's a lot of information that you're probably looking at with your companies today, we wanted to make it very simple and easy to view this information. So a lot of times companies in the past, when we were talking with our clients, were requesting this information from the AP department, the back office. And in a manual environment, it can be pretty time consuming and oftentimes difficult to put together because expenses were in various systems. So we give you this will be all of your data, and you can view the information that is most valuable and important to you. We can also schedule this out to you on a cadence that works best with your schedule. So if you need to view this type of information, top spending employees, your policy exceptions, we can schedule this out. If you want it in your inbox every Monday morning at 8 o'clock, we can certainly do that for you. As we dive deeper into the dashboard, we have some of our reports. So we have our credit card transaction report. And so from the back office perspective, we make it really simple and easy from the reconciliation perspective. This shows you all the transactions that have not only been assigned to a report, but those that have not been assigned to a report within Concur. We also have our expense accruals report. Now, this is a very popular one amongst our clients. And this is that report that gives you visibility into both those out-of-pocket or those cash expenses and those corporate card transactions. In a manual environment, as I said, it can be pretty difficult to see where those out-of-pocket expenses are. Typically, companies would they would only see the impact on their cash flow when those reports with those out-of-pocket expenses have been turned in and then entered into the system. But as soon as that expense hits your employee's Concur profile, you're able to report on this. So you can have that holistic view of your cash flow. So when it comes to reimbursement, once your expense report has been approved and processed, we can also help with reimbursing your employees. So that is with a 3-day ACH payment, and we can also help with paying those corporate credit cards. I will say that in a previous company I worked for, it was very much of a headache, as I mentioned, as we were starting off expense here with Osh, that I was filling out Excel spreadsheets. I'd have to mail in my expense report to my company headquarters up in New York. And when it came to reimbursement, it was kind of a guessing game. So I never really knew when I was going to be getting that reimbursement check in the mail. It was kind of like my birthday every time I would get it. But we don't want your employees to have that headache, understanding that the back office folks are probably experiencing this headache as well, with people asking all the time, hey, where's my check? I need to pay this bill. So we'll let them know at every stage of the process when their expense report has been approved, when it's pending payment, and then also the projected payment date that they can expect that reimbursement to hit their bank account. So again, it takes the guesswork out of everything and a lot of headache off of everyone's plates that they may be experiencing today. When it comes to integrating all of this information, so we have a few options for you. You're seeing logos up there on your screen. Those are for our pre-built bidirectional connectors. If you're not seeing your ERP on the screen, no worries here. We work with hundreds of financial systems, so you could use our complementary and quite frankly, very popular extract file to export this data out of SAP Concur and then import that into your ERP. You can also choose to go the hybrid route where we would introduce you to a partner of ours, and then they would build out that custom connection based upon your company's needs. But regardless of how this data is being pushed and pulled, we're bringing over your custom fields, things like project, department, location, your general ledger account codes. And then on the SAP Concur side, we're bringing over only your approved expense reports. If you'd like us to help with the reconciliation and the reimbursement side of things, we'll bring over that payment confirmation file. And then depending on your ERP, we'll also bring over those receipt images. Again, really the goal here is let us do the heavy lifting when it comes to capturing everything. We just want to make it very simple and easy for your employees to be submitting their expense reports. And Ash, that is what I had to share for today.
That was excellent. Thank you very, very much. I think the amount of information that you provided was complete and thorough, and I think that everybody probably got a lot out of it, I'm hoping, and is looking forward to making the changes necessary in their organizations to improve things around expense management. So as far as next steps are concerned, we would like you to connect with your client services manager, and of course, they will be reaching out to you as well. And what we want to do is we want to schedule one-on-one meetings to discuss your individual needs. So the idea here is to understand how you have understood today's session, to understand what are the next steps that you're looking to take. And we really encourage you all during this time to make things more efficient, make things more effective and better in your organization by integrating and implementing the entire Concur, the SAP Concur suite of travel expense all the way down to reimbursement, because we do believe that doing so will make things better in your organization and in your company, and of course make the lives of your employees and your travelers a lot better. So thank you for joining, and Taylor, I'm going to turn it over to you to close out.
Thank you so much, Ash and Christine. Thank you so much for being here and representing SAP Concur. We're not done just yet. And as we move into our question and answer session, you're going to see a poll up on your screen. It should be there now. It's just one last one we'd like to collect your response on. So the question is, in your organization, how do you process expense reports? So there's various options here. I'll leave it up as we move in for a question and answer. Please go ahead and take a look at the answers there and pick the one appropriate for you. And we can now go ahead and get into the question and answer session as you answer that. So Christine, first question here. What happens if a traveler does not have their receipt?
Sure. So we have a receipt affidavit form that they would fill out, and it's very simple and easy. It is IRS compliant for those who are in the U.S.
Okay, great. So it would be either the receipt would be required or that affidavit would be required.
Exactly.
Correct?
Yep.
Okay, great. And next question, how many expense types can I have?
Sure. So we have 93 pre-built expense types, but as I said, we're a global organization, so as many expense types as you need.
Okay, great. So that's customizable if needed?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. And next question, what is the benefit of itemizing a hotel bill?
Sure. So benefits here are really to understand where the breakdown is in your spending. So if your company doesn't reimburse for in-room entertainment or minibar charges, you want to have that breakdown so that we can flag those types of expenses for you, and then you can require your employees to actually remove that total from their expense report so that you're not reimbursing them for those expenses that fall outside of your company's policy.
Okay, great. So really,
And from the TMC side, I'm sorry to interrupt. From a TMC side, I just wanted to also say that there's a value there from a supplier negotiation standpoint. Keep in mind that knowing how much you're spending and the breakdown of it is very, very powerful when you're sitting in front of a hotel supplier, or really any supplier for that matter. So the itemization helps you accumulate that knowledge. And some of the items that are on your expense report, whether you reimburse or not, compiling it and knowing about it is helpful, because the margins for hotels are much bigger on certain spend categories than others. And if you can go to a hotel chain and let's say to them that last year our employees spent X dollars in room service or in F&B or in entertainment or whatever it is that they're spending at the hotel, then it gives you that much more clout and that much more value as you go into that conversation. So I encourage knowing the breakdown. A lot of times, when we ask companies how much do you spend on hotels, the answer is something general, and then there's no understanding of what that detailed item is. So the value of the SAP Concur is that it'll do that for you. So it's not extra. There's no extra steps in there for the employee other than submitting it. But the benefit that you gain from that knowledge is just tremendous. So just wanted to throw that in there.
Okay, great. Thank you both, Ash and Christine, for speaking to us on that question. Christine, another question for you. After I submit a report, can I go back and look at it if I need it as a reference? So is that accessible to me at all once I've submitted that to the approver?
Yes, you can view all the expense reports that you've submitted.
Okay, and after a certain amount of time, will I ever not be able to access that?
No, you can. It lives on the in our cloud, so it lives on Concur. So you can view expense reports. You can put in a various date range to see all of those.
Okay, excellent. And one last question we have for Ash. Will JTB offer any training if my company implements this service?
Yeah, so the training that we provide will be around travel, and of course, if you need training on expense, we'll work with SAP Concur on the expense side to develop a training program. But we do provide training, and we really believe that the best traveler is the well-informed one. So we do want to spend some time on making sure that your organization is well knowledge, has a lot of knowledge around the SAP Concur travel and expense portfolio. So and then the groupings of the trainings, depending on travel expense, there will be of course individualized and can be different depending on how the organization wants to do it. But we definitely believe in training, and we think that it's very helpful to get traveler buy-in and to make sure that your program is gets off the ground running.
Taylor, if I could just add in there, we at SAP Concur, we do offer training services as well. So we have services that we offer, and then we have a lot of videos. I would say a lot of our clients just watch our interactive videos to train. I personally didn't train on the system. I just learned how to use it. So it's very user friendly to get up and running.
And those are some really good videos, by the way. I do agree.
Okay, great. So a lot of support there. And that brings us to the end of our session. Thank you again, Ash and Christine. We at JTB Business Travel are very pleased to have hosted this session with SAP Concur. So thank you, Christine, for representing SAP Concur. And we hope that all in attendance have thoroughly enjoyed the presentation today and benefited from the material. As you can see, our next Tech Talks is being held on June 3rd at 2 p.m. Central Europe time. And you won't want to miss that one. The topic is ground transportation powered by GroundSpan. If you're still booking chauffeured car service via phone and directly, sign up for that session where you'll learn all about automating and integrating the booking with the rest of your itinerary. So please register for that one and join us back for that session with GroundSpan. And again, thank you everyone. We're ending a bit early, so you have some time to be productive or get yourself another cup of coffee before you resume your day. And we hope that you all have a wonderful day. Goodbye.